All right, today we're going to do a quick benchmark review for those that still need to pass, so make sure you pay attention and answer the questions as we pause. So the first type you're going to see under benchmark is solving for y. So you're going to subtract 3x, you're left with 4y equals 8 minus 3x. You cannot combine those together. You're going to divide by 4 on both sides. You're left with y equals 8 divided 4 is 2. And if it's a fraction, we just leave it as 3 over 4x. So that's going to be one type. You have to solve. Second type is solving, but it's a different problem. You have to distribute first now because it's in point slope form. So you get 2x. 2 times a negative 5 stays in negative 10. And the last step is to move this 3 over by adding, and it can only be added to the 10. So you get y equals 2x. Negative 10 plus 3 is a negative 7. All right. Another type you're going to see is parallel and perpendicular lines. So the slope is the only thing you need from the first equation, and the slope of this one is 2/3 because it's the one next to x. Parallel lines have the same slope, so if the slope of that line's 2/3, the slope of my parallel line is going to be 2/3. Perpendicular have the opposite reciprocal, or in other words, you want to flip it and change the sign. So it's going to be negative now 3 over 2. Okay? The next type is going to be focused on each type of line. So a horizontal line is side to side. The slope of that is 0. A vertical line, we stand vertically, so that's up and down, and that slope is undefined because you can't ever, it's going up forever. You can't ever count your rise. All right, uphill from left to right means it's going up. That's a positive slope. Downhill means it's going down, and that's a negative then. So this should be the easy one on your test. All right. Next is going to be finding slope from a graph, and to do this you need to find 2 good points. They need to fall exactly on the grids. So you count your rise, you count your run. So the slope of that line is rise of 2, run of 4, and that simplifies to 1/2. And double check, it's going uphill, so it's a positive slope. This one, I see a good point right down here, and I see another one right there. So my rise is 2, my run is 1. So my slope is rise of 2 over my run of 1, 2 over 1, or you could just leave it as 2, and then double check, it's going uphill, so it's positive. All right, the last one, I see a point here, and I see a point up there. See if you can find the slope of that one now. All right, my rise is 3, my run is 2, so the slope is 3 over 2, but it's going downhill, so it's negative, and that cannot be simplified, so just make sure you include the negative. All right, now is using the slope formula, and if you remember the slope formula, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we do 10 minus 5 on top because those are our y's. So it's 10 minus 5 over 2 minus a negative 3. Double negatives turn into a positive. 10 minus 5 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. So simplifying that, 5 divided 5 is 1. All right. Why don't you try the next two on your own? All right, so it's going to be negative 5 minus a negative 3 because those are our y's. Negative 5 minus a negative 3 turns into a plus. The bottom is going to be negative 1 minus 4. Negative 5 plus 3 is a negative 2. Check that. Negative 1 and a negative 4. You're going more in the hole, so you're getting negative 5. And don't leave that as negative 2 over negative 5 because 2 negatives make a positive. So it's positive 2 over 5. All right. And the last one's going to be 9 minus 1 over negative 2 minus 2. 9 minus 1 is 8. Negative 2 and another negative 2 take you farther in the hole to negative 4. 8 divided negative 4 simplifies to negative 2 over 1, or just negative 2. It depends on how you want to look at it. All right. Now we got another parallel and perpendicular, but it's a solving one. So we're going to just solve the first one. I'm going to let you try the second one. So minus 5x, 2y equals 10 minus 5x. Divide 2, divide 2. Y equals 10 divided 2 is 5. You get 5/2 x there. So the slope of this line is negative 5 over 2. Parallel lines, remember, have the same slope. Perpendicular have the opposite reciprocal, so you flip it and you change the sign. So since that one's negative, that one's going to be positive. So why don't you try the next one on your own? So I'm just solving it so you can get down to check. You should have gotten 2 plus 4/3 x for your equation. The slope of this one is positive 4/3, so parallel stays the same. Perpendicular, you flip it and change the sign. Okay? All right, so we have two more types of problems. We have graphing, and then we have writing equations. So I'm going to graph the first one. You start at your y-intercept of 4, so you go up 4 on the y-axis. And anytime it's a whole number, it's over 1. So you go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, and you draw in your line. So why don't you see if you can do the second one? All right, you start at negative 3 because that's your y-intercept, and your rise is 1, your run is 2. So you go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and there's your line. Okay? All right, so we have converting and writing equations. So again, I'm going to do the first one, you're going to do the second one. So on this one, you draw your line in and you distribute like we did at the beginning. So you get 3x minus 3, y plus 2, and then you subtract 2. You get y equals 3x minus 5. So you go ahead and try the second one. So be careful on this one, you get a negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 5, it's a negative 10. And your last step is to add the 4 over. So you get y equals negative 2x minus 6. All right, we have one more type of problem. I think that's our last one, yep. So first one is they give you the slope and the point. And you need to write it in point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1. So all you have to do is fill in where the slope goes. The slope goes right here in front of the parentheses. And then negative 3 is your x, 4 is your y. So y's 4 and x is negative 3. Two negatives make a positive, and you've written an equation. You could convert that if you want, but you can also just leave it in point slope form. So the only difference with the second one is you need to find the slope. So why don't you try this one on your own? Your 2 points are right here. Go ahead and find the slope. So it's 2 minus 5 on top, 1 minus 4 on the bottom. You get negative 3 over negative 3, which turns into a positive 1. So there's our slope. And then I always pick the first point to use. I'm going to pick this point 4, 5, and I'm going to write it in point slope form. So y minus y1 equals my slope times x minus x1. My slope goes in front of the x. I picked the point 4, 5. X is 4, y is 5. So 5 goes next to y because it's the y coordinate. 4 goes next to x. And again, you could convert that, but we're going to leave it just like this because sometimes you're going to get fractions, and that's still an equation. All right? So see me when you're ready to try the benchmark again, and have a good day.